everybody, it's Naomi, your desert sailor, and I am on a Catalina 27, and today I am servicing this winch. I'm going to be taking it apart, cleaning it, lubing it up, and putting it back together again. So I hope you learned something, because I sure did when I did it.
Okay, like I said, here we are with our Lewmar Wavegrip self-tailing winch 1-speed. I went online and found a schematic here that outlines all the parts. P2 Marine has some replacement parts, but not all. Preparing to disassemble, I definitely have a drop tray for all my loose parts, a towel or something similar so things don't roll off, and my degreaser, a greaser, Pawls oil, screwdrivers, brushes, rags, and I will add also extra Pawls Springs and a towel I lay out to line up all my parts as I disassemble, making sure that no parts will roll off, and collect all my screws as I take them off. First step is to remove this cap. So these are the lock washers that keep the shaft in place. There's like a little notch in there. They're a little difficult to get out when they're dirty. So full disclosure, this is my winch after I've actually cleaned it, but you'll see why I'm doing this in reverse. At this point, you can take off the entire winch at this point, or just this shaft part if you are just replacing a Pawl spring on this shaft. You'll see why I did this first, just to demonstrate. Be very careful when you're taking this out because the Pawls can spring off. They're right there. Yay! They didn't lose any. Okay, this is where this should come off just like this to reveal the Pawls that are on your winch drum. However, when I removed it when it was dirty, I could not get that cap off, and the rings, the bearing rings, were stuck on the shaft. Sometimes when it's clean, the bearing rings will actually get removed with the drum. Do you see something missing in this picture? I'll tell you later. Anyway, pretty gunky, right? So I need to clean that for sure. So there is this pin here. It's a little tricky to get up at first, especially if things are a little bit sticky from dirt and dried in grease. So you handle with care, definitely. Got all our pieces lined up, and one last piece to get is the bigger gear under the shaft. And yes, it's pretty dirty. All right, time to clean everything. I did use paint thinner, but some people use acetone, and one can also use another kind of degreaser, I suppose. This toothbrush did survive the job, but it was getting disintegrated a bit. And don't forget to get the inside because, yeah, it's pretty gungy after a while. These I soaked in a bath, again, of paint thinner, but you can use acetone. Just watch your fingers. Best to be wearing gloves if you're handling this a lot. And not this kind of glove because they disintegrated pretty quickly. So I switched to something a little more resistant to disintegration.
Okay, I need to take this part off of the winch, and this one was extremely stiff, so off camera I jimmied it with a flathead screwdriver.
It should just come off like this pretty easily.
This is the only way you're going to get to your pawls. These are the pawls. 3 of them in here. So hold on to that spring. So that I can clean down in here properly. Well, that is much better. Yeehaw.
Okay, let's lube her up and grease it up. You want to use a lube, a mineral oil or a special Pawls oil on the pawls and anywhere that the pawls touch. So this is a little tricky, but you get to watch me do it another time at the end of the video if you keep watching. They need to go the same direction as the others, of course. I am attempting to use mineral oil. I use it on my sewing machine mechanical parts, so I'm hoping that it'll be okay out here in the desert. And the inside of the cog gets oil, the outside will get grease. Sounds good. Click, click, click. All right, I'm using this silicone super lube. There's other kinds of grease that you can use. I'm attempting this one. We'll see how it goes. Don't use too much. That's the main thing. Don't go crazy, and massage it in so it's nice and even. Key is just, you don't want it gunking up again and drying out. I'm going to avoid this area because that's where the pawls will be hitting. But anywhere on the shaft that the pawls aren't, I will be greasing. So here we go with some super lube. Not too much again, because I've already done the bearing rings. Putting this thing back together. All right, well, you had it all in the right order on your towel, and you have your schematic, so you don't have to panic. So in this part, I'm assembling the shaft first, so I can get this gear in place. As you put it in, you want to rotate it the direction of the pawls.
Okay, this is all lubed up too, and pretty sure it needs to go this way. And the pin is lubed up a little bit. See that there's a flat edge that goes against the flat edge.
Okay, here we go. Full disclosure. This picture, yeah, I'm missing a pawls. Well, luckily I still have the pawls, but when I was assembling this after I'd cleaned it, I wasn't paying attention and the pawls fell out and the spring went flying and I lost springs. So I went online and I found these springs, these Pawls Springs, cheaper to buy an entire pack. Lubing this up again with a teeny bit of mineral oil and then just visualizing which direction they're going to go in. It's pretty teeny finicky work, and you could lose this Pawls spring again, and that's why you need it, because look, it doesn't spring back. Look how teeny it is. And that's the boinginess. So the boinginess has to go where the one part of the boinginess goes against the inner part of the whistle. Looks like a whistle. And then ever so gently and tenderly squeeze that spring and slide it in. Ooh, that was pretty fast.
You got to really make sure when you're putting this on to not let these pop off. So slide it on, and as you are putting it on, you turn it in the direction of the pawls. So this is going to go clockwise where I am, and I'm going to just keep my hand over the pawls. I can feel one coming up already. So that they do not pop up. But once they're in their little grooves, just keep turning it and they'll hopefully stay down, but I'm going to cover it just in case. Yep. And I'm feeling them come up again. So I'm going to keep them pushed down, and I can hear them now start to engage. Phew! That's awesome. Yay! Going in reverse now. This guy comes on here, lining up the holes with the holes underneath for crankshaft. And again, be careful not to lose these. So as we put it in, holding them in place and slightly turning to the right clockwise as you go. Go. This cap comes towards us this way, and then the name cap here on top. So this is where we'll get our screw or little bolts out. Try to line it up. Too tight. Okay. I'm going to put this tongue on, line it up with the plastic piece here, but we're going to line it up, all of it here. And then so that this entire thing doesn't turn on itself with the tongue. These are the locks. I already can see though that there's a little groove on the shaft here that starts to slide down, so I should lift up that shaft and eyeball it in there and slip that in. Let that go in. We'll be able to tell when we do the other side, I guess. There we go. So they have to meet like that. And then, so then we could just test. Yep. So that's still moving around. So you can see that these holes are lined up in these notches, and so we'll line up these holes with those notches. There we go. And put in these final screws. Hand screw them first. With these, because there are 4 of them, not 3, we will do crisscrossies. So a little bit in. I want it to tighten down kind of pretty evenly, and don't over tighten. That sounds good.